Hey guys, I'm Uncle Joel with Pin and Reel, where we talk about comic books, video games, TV shows, movies, books, and more. We'll do reviews, speculation, ideas I have as a writer for what I would do if I was writing the movies or comics, and so on. Please leave a comment to let us know what you think. Really appreciate the feedback. If you like what you see, hit like and be sure to subscribe. And with that being said, on to the video. So within the last couple of months, DC started releasing their digital-first comics. They're up to quite a few now, with Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Swamp Thing, Harley Quinn, and more. They don't appear to be directly tied to main continuity, but they seem to fit in roughly with where things are right now. And I feel like that's one of the major selling points of these comics, but can also be kind of a drawback for some. See, for me personally, I really enjoy continuity. I love things like Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and even events like Dark Knight's Metal, where they introduce big concepts that really change the way the multiverse is structured and the way the universe is structured, to the point that they're going to have major ramifications on the stories that follow. Or even something more simple like the Batman comics introducing the Court of Owls, which really changes the way you view the characters and their history. So for me personally, I like continuity. But at the same time, what if you don't really care for the stories that are going on right now? For instance, there are a lot of people that really don't like what Brian Michael Bendis is currently doing with Superman. Well, that's a perfect chance for you to check out Superman, Man of Tomorrow. So the first 6 issues of Superman, Man of Tomorrow is written by Robert Venditti, who has done a lot of great work on X-O Manowar, Hawkman, and is currently working on Justice League. So here's a solid writer who has a chance to work with Superman, but it's not tied into current continuity and he's not having to worry about all of these major changes to the character. He just wants to take the character and tell a good story. And that's where these comics really shine. At least so far on what I've read of the first 3 issues of Superman, Man of Tomorrow, they're standalone adventures that just want to tell a good story. So far, in the first 3 issues, we have a story about Parasite. We have a story about a man who is taking bets on where Superman is going to appear next, and he is manipulating events in order to make a lot of money, as well as a reintroduction of the original Toyman as a villain into the Superman world. And while there is a little bit of a central story from issue to issue tying them all together, really each of these issues function as a standalone issue. You could pick up issue 3 and read it totally fine and not even have a sense that this is tied to issue 2 or 1 or 4 or whatever. Like, you could read issue 3 entirely on its own and be totally fine. But then those who want to read all 6 issues of Robert Venditti's run, they're all going to tie together, at least from the way it seems, up through issue 3. But the nice thing here is these issues aren't concerned about what's happening in Brian Michael Bendis' run. These issues aren't concerned with the build-up to Dark Knight's Heavy Metal. These issues aren't concerned with the goings-on of any other book. They're just focused on telling their own independent story and having fun with it. So even for people like me who enjoy the continuity, it's nice to just have a simple adventure with Superman. As for the stories themselves, they're all pretty good. None of them are phenomenal stories that I'm going to remember, a year from now, but they're fun and enjoyable. I would honestly compare them to individual episodes of Superman the Animated Series. They feel more lighthearted the way Superman ought to be, and they're more just adventures. They feature heavily on Clark and Lois reporting, as well as Superman fighting bad guys and going on these adventures and saving the day. And so really, so far, this series boils down Superman to the core formula and just enjoys telling a simple story with it. And for 99 cents an issue, I'd say you get quite a bit of really good storytelling, good art, for a great price. Honestly, my only significant complaint here is that there are so many of them, and they come out weekly, that it's going to be difficult for me to keep up. Now, I'm not necessarily interested in all of the different books. Harley Quinn, for instance, I haven't really enjoyed any of her solo comics, so I'm not necessarily going to be that interested in picking up the series ongoing, but if I was interested in all of them, that's a lot to follow. It's one thing if you have a bunch of different books that come out once a month, but if you have a bunch of different books that are coming out every single day of the week, unless you're reading all of them every day, you're going to get behind really quickly. At the same time, they're not these dense, complicated reads, and so you can get caught up pretty quickly. At the time of recording this video, there are 7 issues out, at least that I'm aware of Superman, Man of Tomorrow. And honestly, I feel like I could probably catch up with the rest of those tonight and have time to work on catching up on something else all of tomorrow. Now, like any comics, a lot of this is going to depend on the writer and the artist and how good the team is. So I don't know that this is necessarily going to maintain quality once the writer changes at issue 7, so we'll see where that goes. But at least for the first 3 issues, I really enjoy it. And I'm fairly confident that the next 3 are going to be on a pretty similar level. We'll see what happens with issue 7. So while I was waiting for the video to upload, I wound up reading the next 4 issues. And sure enough, issues 4 through 6 played out roughly the way I was expecting. I didn't know exactly what beats it was going to follow, but the general idea played out more or less as I was expecting. Sure enough, there was an overarching story for the entirety of issues 1 through 6 that played out in issues 5 and 6, but issues 1 through 4 don't rely upon that, and it's not necessary to read the entire run in order to appreciate the individual issues, except for 5 and 6. 5 and 6 kind of go together, and issues 1 through 4 do help establish 5 and 6, but are not at all necessary. So you could even read just 5 and 6, and you'd be good. And I stand by what I said earlier. This very much feels like a story arc or a series of episodes from Superman the Animated Series. But then, unfortunately, Robert Venditti was only on issues 1 through 6. Issue 7 brings in an entirely different writer. And while he's not bad, I didn't really enjoy it quite as much. So issue 7, which introduces this new writer, Wild Gauze, I think that's his name, probably not pronouncing that right, it no longer feels like Superman the Animated Series. So here we get 2 different stories. The first one focusing on Jimmy Olsen, and the second one focusing on Superman getting some sort of training. And while this doesn't feel like Superman the Animated Series, for me, it felt like the type of story you would have gotten in the 90s. So again, you wind up getting a very different kind of story than what you would normally get in the main continuity. And personally, I wasn't as fond of issue 7 as I was of 1 through 6, but it was still good. I am curious to find out what they do beyond this. Like, is it going to be a bunch of standalone issues? Are they going to do short story arcs? Or is it going to be a mixture of the two? Whatever the case, I have enjoyed it so far, and I do think I'll be coming back for more, especially at this price point. So yeah, there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the first 7 issues of Superman, Man of Tomorrow, DC's digital first Superman comic. I'm going to check out some of the other comics. I've already got Aquaman, Swamp Thing, and Flash waiting for me, so we'll see how those are. But at least with Superman, I can say Robert Venditti's run is worth reading. And, $6 for 6 issues, can't really beat that. So yeah, I would recommend checking it out, especially for the price. Coming up next, I'm going to do Flash and maybe Swamp Thing. Not quite sure which one I'm going to do first, but yeah, I hope you join me for that. And until then, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay changeable.